This show has been brought to you by Smith's Detection and the National Air Traffic Controllers Association.
My voice is the voice that guides you home safely each and every day.
24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
I am the voice of the safest and most efficient airspace in the world.
I have to be 100% of the time.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a professional air traffic controller.
I'm joined in the studio today by Gary Shapiro, the President and CEO of the Consumer Technology Association. Gary is a prolific writer, author. He's written a book, Ninja Innovation. He's written literally hundreds of op-eds. He runs a powerful Washington, D.C. association that you may know best from its annual show in Las Vegas every year, the CES show. Gary, thank you very much for being with us.
I am so honored to be here.
First, just tell our viewers a little bit about the organization, the association.
So we're a national trade association like your own in that we represent companies that are focused on technology. We have over 2,000 members. We're based in the Washington, D.C. area, and we talk about public policy that affects our industry, as well as we produce a large event and other events around the world, focusing on innovation and the future of technology.
So a little bit of an understatement when you say, you're being a little modest when you say you produce some shows. You take over literally the city of Las Vegas every year. Talk about that show.
Well, the CES attracts over 175,000 people in the business from around the world that are focused on innovation, including 7,000 journalists, over 50,000 people from outside the United States. And what we try to do is not only attract people that are buying and selling consumer technology products, but people from other industries that are focused on the future. So CEOs from around the world that are concerned about or focused on innovation and where technology is going attend our show, and they are always inspired when they go. They see other CEOs, they establish relationships, and they get ideas about how to do what they're doing better and more innovation focused, more technology focused.
So I have to ask just a logistics question. You have more people than there are rooms in Las Vegas. How do you deal with that?
Well, actually, in some of the international people, especially, they actually share rooms, but a lot of people come in for 1 or 2 days, they move out. There's Airbnb, there's trailers, there's people literally fly in and out of LA every day to Las Vegas. So it works out.
Wow, an amazing deal. And you've replicated that to some extent internationally.
Yes, we just 2 years ago launched a show in Shanghai, and we just we doubled the size just recently. And we're going forward with that. It's a great marketplace. It's very different doing business there, to say it, to understate the obvious. But we also have mini events around the world. Especially, we've been doing one in Paris every year. These are one-day events. We rotate them around different continents, in part to talk about what we're doing, to focus on the CES, but also to get people excited about innovation and technology, because our mission is to focus the world on innovation and to make sure that people understand the value of innovation and technology, that it's taking us better, not just in entertainment, but in education, in healthcare, in transportation, in so many areas of human endeavor. We're making the world better.
So let's talk about innovation. Again, as I said, you literally wrote the book on innovation. Why is that so important in, say, the airport environment?
It's important in any environment. You could challenge me and say, where is innovation important here? In the airport environment is an environment like any others. People are choosing to fly in and out of places. Airports get reputations as being good and bad. They're evaluated. People don't want to go to certain airports, or they'll have a great experience in the airport. They'll discover a restaurant or a store, or they'll discover an experience which can make that airport better. That's what innovation is. How are you serving those customers, whether they're the passengers that go through, or even the airlines and the carriers themselves? Literally tens of thousands of people go through most airports every day. You're creating an impression with people, and that is incredibly valuable. People are giving their time in that airport, especially as security procedures have a lot more time at airports. Look at the change in airports since September 11th. Phenomenal. Everything has shifted. There's new opportunities there. Technology has made a difference. People are spending time. They're eating there as an experience. They're meeting there because it's convenient. So airports have huge opportunities with innovation and technology.
So you and I have talked about innovation. You were nice enough to come speak at our inaugural Innovation Forum last year in San Francisco. We at AAAE are trying to do a lot on innovation. What kinds of advice would you give to airport leaders who often report into local governments, where it's sometimes hard to really think creatively and think in innovative ways? How do you get people to really focus in on innovation?
Well, first, the local government obviously is always interested in the success of the local airport, and to the extent that it has a great reputation, that's very important, a great passenger experience. So first you have to establish that baseline, that why it's important to have a great experience and have a great reputation, because it affects the entire reputation of the area. It affects whether tourists want to go there or not. The first visit, the first time is the airport, and that impression really matters. So second, once you establish that, then you go to what opportunities and possibilities there are there with innovation. And there's huge numbers. Obviously, they have to rely upon organizations like yours and, frankly, their own travel through other airports to see what's current and what's out there and what's possible. Because as a guy who travels at least twice, often 4 times a week in different airports, I could give a critique of any airport, and I'd be happy to if anyone wants to contact me. But the truth is that there are great airports and there's terrible airports with regard to the customer experience, and they do make a difference. So then you could think about the possibility and where trends are going in the future and try to hit this moving target, because there's some certainties that are coming out there with technology in terms of the customer experience, the customer's ability to know what's around them through technology, the fact that how transportation to and from the airport is going to be radically changing over time. These are things that are moving targets that airport executives can predict in their planning, so they'll be ready for that future that's certainly coming.
An example of that just comes to mind would be autonomous vehicles and conversations about, from Google X and others about back and forth to the airport in a car with no driver.
Absolutely. So what we've seen the change probably in the last few years, bigger than anything else, is Uber and Lyft, providing a new source of revenue and income and opportunity that passengers and airports should welcome. But the next stage is clearly autonomous or driverless cars. And when there's driverless cars here, what we're going to see is maybe parking structures will become less important. We're seeing that getting in and out of the airport will become more important, having access for cars like that. And it goes to other things like charging stations. There are other changes which are occurring depending on which direction our government goes in, perhaps, or governments around the world go in. But certainly driverless cars are something where it will be here. It's a question of when. And then how that when will change the ownership structure. So will you own your driverless car? Or, right now, even let's face it, there's a whole generation growing up that's owning fewer cars because they like driverless cars. They can't afford them. They can't afford regular cars. They like Uber, they like Lyft, and they like the opportunity of not owning things. So that's going to change the future customer who will be flying more and more. So I think we have to deal with that. I think we have to recognize it. We have to plan for it.
Another area where our two associations are both doing lots of work is drones.
Absolutely. Drones are huge, and drones are now, we're starting to see, even at CES, those that we call drones with passengers. So that's coming as well. Drones obviously have different impacts on airports. We're working with various governments around the world to try to make sure they can be safe, they can be effective, and they can get there. And in the United States, it's been a little slower than other countries, but we're moving in the right direction. So there's obviously 3 types of drones. There's the bad drones, or the good drones, depending on your view, which go out and kill people. We're not talking about those. The drones which are commercial service drones, they look at crops, they look at where there's a fire, they look at all sorts of things, including lost children and pets. They could find things much more efficient than humans can, and they'll save lives. And then there's pleasure drones. And obviously there's 3 sets of rules which can apply to all those. And we're looking off the consumer ones. There's drones obviously which are going to deliver products as well. And they'll make building to building transport in cities will get things quicker. But this is what Amazon and others are talking about. It will change the nature of FedEx and UPS. It'll change how crowded our roads are. Drones will provide a huge opportunity.
So every year, at the beginning of the year, you have this huge show, this banquet, this feast of new technology. Do you have some personal favorites of things that you've seen over the past year or two that are coming that you're just really excited about?
I'm personally excited about wireless health because I really think that we are just beginning this shift into where we can be healthier, not only through what we know about ourselves, the measured self, but also through the aggregating of information, which allows us to determine how, whether we're about to get sick, how we are treated when we are sick, in a way where we'll all of a sudden have effective treatments, because basically the healthcare profession is not as advanced as we think it is. Doctors do what they were trained to do. It's tough to keep up. It's tough to figure out what works. There's not a lot of reward for reporting on things that don't work, so that's never reported, but yet these treatments which don't work or continue. So we are making some rapid advances through technology, through 3D printing of prosthetics, through massive data analysis, deep data of analyzing, through 3D pictures of where things are happening in the body, to be able to look through a body, to be non-intrusive. So the whole healthcare, you think airports are changing? Healthcare is really changing.
Gary, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it.
It's been a total honor. You run a great organization, and what you do is so important. Speaking on behalf of the passengers of the world.
Thanks a lot.